the working hand, the fingers on top of my holding hand, and do a thumb roll from the top of the big toe to the base of the big toe. And I lean back a little bit just to show you how to do that. From the top all the way to the base, I take my finger around. But this is how I'm relaxing my shoulders, I'm relaxing my elbows, and this is how I'm really working. I'm coming close to the foot, because if I do that, everything strains in my body. You can't do that. And you're putting your leverage, your pressure there. So you work the whole big toe from top to base. If you cover the foot up only down here, you're pressing in thin air. That's why we're covering up all the way to the top of the toe, so that we press it against our fingers. And my working fingers are always on top of my holding fingers. More leverage there, more stability. The toes are wiggly. And then I do that with each toe. And I always look at my client because I can see if it's painful or not. So each toe, with the last little toes, sometimes it's easier if you just support the top without holding it like this, especially if you work on bigger feet. Then it's you're just supporting with the 3 fingers on top, and you kind of cradle the toe and work that way. Here you could do that, but I find it easier doing it this way instead of cradling. But the last 2 toes, the cradling is really a good method. We try it out both, all the way to the base. Then the thumb stays on vacation behind on the bottom of the big toe, or the little toe, all the way to the base, not just the tip. We need to support the whole length of the toe. And starting at finger roll, 2 finger roll, index finger and middle finger from the bed of the nail bed to the base, and you can do even little circles down there. Next toe supported whole length on the bottom, and coming down, next toe. So I put these guys together next to each other and do a 2 finger roll.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Very meticulous work there, and so forth. Then I already looked between the toes. Now I'm putting my thumbs between big toe, second toe. So we're going between the toes now. We're working one side of the toes first, and then when we go back, we work the other side. So you cradle the big toe, pull it down a little bit. The others, you just slightly get them out of the way. And then you start working the inner side, or it's actually the outer side. This would be the inner side of the big toe. Then you cradle the next toe together with the big toe. I actually have my little finger so I don't push them too much over. I stop them. So just to show you, this is all. Usually you won't see it. I would work like this. You won't even see what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want you later on to lean back like that. I want you to work like this.
Yeah.
I want you to see what I'm doing. So you're going down and down and down. Then thumb between little toe, 4th toe, cradle the little toe, pull it down a little bit. Thumb touching the little toe is the one working. That's what I'm going to say. And then we're doing the other sides. Cradling the next one together. So all the inner sides now. And then we're coming here at the cervical spine. So now here we're spending some time at the cervical spine. I'm really speeding this up here right now. I'm not doing a thumb roll normally like this. Normally it would be like this. The slower the better. I'm just speeding up because I'm showing you. I want you to work. Now we're down here. This picture 1 is a 1E. So index finger, it is the inner hand because it's on this side, right? Inner hand. We're doing an index finger roll, starting at the nail bed, coming across all 5 zones. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the big toe. Only the big toe gets this special treatment. So all the way across with a nice finger roll. Then I'm covering up. Can you scoot back a tiny bit? Perfect. Then I'm covering up outer hand. Inner hand comes on top. Now I'm doing the plantar side of the big toe, the bottom of the big toe. So I cover up. It's almost like covering up the cards in Vegas. And coming in and leaning in. And I have to cover up the whole thing again, not just half of it, because pushing it in thin air, not good. My other thumb is kind of holding the bottom of the toe a little bit so that it doesn't go anywhere. I know. Is it relaxing?
Yes.
All the way across until you're really coming to the base. Then you go to the next page and you just continue. You're at the base of the big toe and your thumb is just continuing to come all the way across shoulder line. So I want you to see that the arrow is just below the toes. So I don't want you to be halfway down the pad and bar. I want you really to be below the toes. So you have to work that curve there of the toes. And 2B shows it a little lower, but what I like to do is doing 2 passes on the shoulder line. So here already we're changing hands all the way across. This is kind of a medium pressure I'm using here, Cindy. How is the pressure?
Really good.
Okay. And then I continue to work the whole pad and ball like we have done before. This is all in one picture. Here, the first part, a pad and the ball, we're using the outer hand. Lift off, go across, lift off, come back. Zone 5 to zone 1. Then we're changing hands for the sole, soft sole. Now, how I want you to start is, I will say, put your thumb below the diaphragm line. Cover up with the outer hand so that when you lean in, you're not brushing the foot against your chest, but against your hand. I want this to be a very straight line here. That's why I'm leaning in. If I don't do that, look what happens. You get strained with you will get pain in your wrist. So I want you to lean in, really start from zone 1, just below the diaphragm line, all the way across to zone 5. And so forth, and then leaning in again. Otherwise you can't, either you don't have a straight line, or you can't start at zone 1. And I want you to start at zone 1. Not inner edge, but zone 1. So this, what we continue the whole, this way, we continue the soft sole with the inner hand. Then we're changing hands again. I have my inner hand and my supporting hand under the heel to lift it up a bit of the table. Lean in, coming across from zone 5 to zone 1. I'm actually, you can, when the pressure, you put pressure and you lean in, that's your pressure, and then you just roll across with the same pressure. You use your body leverage to use create the pressure. All the way to the base or bottom. And then we're doing the outer side first, the arms. Starting with the thumb on the shoulder joint reflex, the fingers just naturally where they want to go, a little parallel, so you don't want to work down straight like this. You have the hand a little angled. From the shoulder joint Your fingers just follow. They're almost not attached to the foot. All the way down over the bump for the elbow, all the way down. You can tilt the foot a little bit down to the hand reflex, and you can do that a couple of times. And then you lift up and start below the bump for the what is it? The hip?
The hip, yep.
For the hip up to the knee reflex in the soft triangle. So you don't go up like this. You stay in the soft triangle. Here's the knee reflex. And then you kind of work sideways down. You do that a couple of times. Each time you can make this half circle a little smaller, that you cover the whole area. Then you lift the foot a tiny little bit off the table, and index finger supported by middle finger comes across the bottom. So it's across the heel, but not from the outer edge. It's just really the bottom of the foot. And then you change hands again, and here we have what I call a starburst. We're starting at the coccyx reflex and coming up, come back to coccyx reflex, coming up, so that we cover the whole inner ankle there. Inner heel I would say. Yeah. Until we're here coming to the lumbar reflexes. You can really feel it here. And I want you to feel then the texture there. Coming up, and then you can't do a thumb roll anymore. You can't go any further. So you keep the thumb kind of in that direction, and you put the fingers or the hand on top of the foot. Cover up again, because now you lean in, and I talk a little bit. Just don't fall off the stool. Torque and coming up the inner edge. All the way to the shoulder line here. And then we're doing stretch, press, stretch. Stretch up, press in, stretch down. We have 4 grooves on the foot. 2 outer grooves with the outer hand, and instead of going across here, I just do the inner grooves with the inner hand. And then we're doing little circles. These fingers here, 3 fingers each hand. Little, I call them swimmers because it's the swimming motion.
Right,
That's the direction.
That makes sense.
Little circles until we're getting into the ankle groove. We can now push the foot a little bit forward, so we are in the ankle groove. And then we do a thumb roll, very gentle thumb roll, up to the top, and from here up to the top. It doesn't matter where you start. You don't have to start all the way down. You just go into the ankle groove. Oviduct, sperm duct, and groin. We have a lot of lymph nodes in the groin region, so that's important work there too for the lymphatic. And then you can do some whatever you want to do with the foot, some relaxation, dessert techniques, and that's it.